So we welcome every one of us to today's presentation and on. So we continue from where we stop. Let's welcome Dr. Adegoke Taiwo. Over to you, sir.
Hello, where is him?
Dr. Adegoke, are you there? Oh, I think he's trying to. Obusaya, are you okay now?
Sir? Yes, I should
Okay,
be.
then go ahead.
Okay.
You can share your screen.
Okay. Where is my screen? Okay, is my screen?
Yes,
Can we see
we can see.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to everybody. My name is Ogunsanya Adeyinka, one of the faculty member of this program. All right, so I will want to continue from where Dr. Adegoke stopped, and we'll pick it from there. All right. So I actually have opened it before, but I decided to reopen it again so that some of us that are likely to have forgotten the procedure. So anytime you want to open your Jupyter, you search for it through your search machine. You type your Jupyter, and we come up. You can use any method you like. Okay, so last week we concluded the class with list, set, tuple, and okay, tuple, list, set, and tuple. So we said set are used to store multiple items in a single variable. Lists are one of the 4 built-in data type in Python used to store collections of data. And last week we deal with list, tuple. So lists are created using square brackets. List items are ordered, changeable, allow duplicate values. List items are indexed from 0 to the last value, which is n-1. So list is a collection which is ordered and changeable, and while tuple is a collection which is ordered but unchangeable. It allowed duplicate, it allowed duplicate members. While set is also a collection which is unordered, unchangeable, and even sometimes you don't need to, it's not indexed, it is arranged in any particular order. So this evening, we want to complete that data type with dictionaries. And what is important in this formation of dictionary is what we call the key and the variable and the value. Okay, so key is like, if you convert it to data frame, it's like the header, while the variable are the content of that column. Okay, so, and dictionary can be created. Dictionary can be created using curly bracket. Okay, and where this, if you are, I don't know if you can see can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that brand,
Yes, sir.
model, year are what is called the key. While the value, yes, I call it value because it's also value. The Ford, the Mustang, and the year are actually called the value. And so if you want to create your own, you start with a calling, okay, by creating it and open and you close it. Okay, so if we do this, what you will do is you run it. Okay, so it will give you the content, the value, and the key. Okay, so sometimes we create dictionary to explain the header. Okay, so if I have a brand, I'm saying that the brand of this car is Ford, and the model is this, while the year is 1964. So it's like you are letting people know the content of what you have. Duplicate is not allowed in dictionary. So for example, we have brand and we have year here. So it's going to pick one because it does not take duplication. So the first year is being replaced by the second one because it can only recognize the last assignment. So we are saying that assign 2020 to replace the 1964. So that's the way duplicate dictionary we see it. But if you do this in list we see the same figure. If you repeat it in several times, it will still continue saying it. So you can determine the length of a dictionary. Okay, so the length of a dictionary is the merger of the value and the key for each of them. So if you do this now, who can guess the answer to this based on this explanation? Hello, are you with me?
Yes.
All right. No, you can unmute yourself and speak. Before I run it, I want somebody to just tell me the answer. Unmute yourself and speak. Okay, the answer should be, so let's look at it. Okay, the answer is 3. So it's taking the value. We have brand and Ford is one dictionary. Model and Mustang is also a dictionary. Year 2000, and so we have the length is 3. So the type is also dictionary. Okay, so you can do all of this to find the if you put dic into square brackets, you are asking that to give me the year, give me the value of the content in the square bracket. Okay, so if you do this, also the key, like we said, you know, the key and the value. So if you write this command, you are only asking the dictionary to display the key, not the key and the value. So we can just try all of this. I think is well spelled, self-explanatory, so that we will not dwell too much on the minor. So you can also update, meaning that I can add to the existing dictionary. Okay, so what I need to do is to take the variable name dot update. Okay, so this dic is not constant. You can put ade, you can put okay dot update. So if I want to update, okay, Dr. Okay, now I put Dr. Okay dot update. So maybe it's just being given professorship. Now I put professor 2023. Okay, and it will still return okay. because I've updated that particular variable. So, and it goes for all. So I can also delete. So if I delete a key, definitely it will delete the value. Okay, so if I update here, and I now ask, give me the actual value. So he has increased, added it. So I've increased the length of my dictionary. Okay, so there are several others inbuilt functions that we can also find in Python. They are numerous. Okay, so by the time you get to when we get to functions, we will also see how we can do all of this. Okay, so this is not actually part of what we are looking at. So again, we can now create a dictionary and then turn it to data frame. Okay, so if you have a dictionary, we can now turn it to an Excel table. Okay, so what Python understand is data that are frame, not necessarily at the CSV. So, but you can call data from any data type, but preferably if you prefer to have his data framed, okay, meaning that they are protected with lines, okay. So if you do all of this, sorry that I've introduced, okay, this import pandas is another function which I actually wanted to talk about. I want to talk about it later. So before I run that, let's go to function, because if I continue with this, I'll be talking about function. So what is a function? We were taught function, for those of us that were part of the class in R, functions remain the same. Okay, he has actually displayed what was talking about, but I don't want to go into that yet. Okay, function is a block of code which only runs when you call it. So when you write a function, just like that data frame is a function, while the pandas is like a library, also behave like a module. Okay, so you can pass data or your data that is known as parameter into a function. So if I want to find an area of a place or rectangle, so I can write it as a function. So anything I need to do, I don't need to write the formula at all time. Anytime I want to write to solve the problem of area of a rectangle. So what I need to, functions are essential part of most programming languages. Okay. Hello. Functions are we can reuse it. Okay, and that's the beauty of function. So if you have written it once, what you need to do is just to call the name that you are giving to that function, put that same parameter. We will also demonstrate some of these things in this course. So let's look at one example of how to build a very simple function. So to build a function, you need to define the function's name, write the statement or the formula or the model, then call the function. So you can call the function by returning the function or write the function itself at the end of the program. So if I said define my function, so this div will recognize anything in front of it as a function. So if I put dev area, so it will see anytime I write area and put any value here, it will see it as a function or what is in between the function and the return value. Okay, so if you do this, you have returning hello from a function. So it's returning the statements that are in between the definition of the function and the returning value of your function. All right, so I can now write for the volume of a cuboid, which is length, breadth. You require the parameter of the length, the breadth, and the height. So what I need to do, there are several ways you can do your function. If you go through what I've done, I've written two or three ways of doing it. So the first method I use is to define it and return it directly, return the formula. We know the formula for it is to length times breadth times height will give me the volume, okay? But I can also write the volume in between it and then return the value for it and later call it, okay? So the first method I use is I return the formula directly. So anytime I want to do it, what I need to write is the definition, the volume, and put any value to represent length. Maybe the length is 2. I put 2 there, bracket. The breadth is 10. I put 10 there. Height, then it will just run the code even without putting my print, okay? Okay, so if you look at this, it's taking it, all right. So if it's taking it and I ask it again to this function volume of people that I've written, I'm not saying that let that function be equals to volume because I don't want to write too many language here. You can put the whole of this. Okay, what I highlighted, you can put it where this volume is. If you have not added volume, if you have not assigned that particular thing to volume, it will still give you the same result because you have stated here in 11 that volume is taking this function. So the moment you will see this, is supposed to perform, and the essence of this F to take the statement and the exact print value, the solution, which is our volume, and print it as a complete statement. So the second method is write this, put it inside as a statement between the definition and the return value, okay? So he also behave like, so for those of us that understand how, he also behave similar to how return his own value too. So you can just try some of these things that we have done, okay? So let me go to this. Let's find the perimeter again, okay? Okay, so I've actually jumped into another, because for me to use pi, I need to call a library that has the solution that understand what pi is. And I'm using C. The reason why I'm very used to C, math. We have math ordinary math, we also have C math. The C math take care of the complex version of mathematics. So I don't need to begin to change my value. Peradventure, I have complex problems in the process of doing it. But if you know that what you are doing does not contain complex number, you can just leave it with import the library math. And math and C math, all the two of them contain pi function 27. But if you want to begin to probably disturb yourself, you can also put the number 22 over 7. Am I correct? You know, some of these things does not allow us to remember some of these critical mind. So I also demonstrated without using the C, it will still give you the same value. But if you have what's it called? If you have complex value here, this one will not perform. It will not do that same work that that other one has done. Okay, so there's a problem here. Who can help me to solve this problem? Okay, because I said that the two of them should give me the same result, but it's not giving me the same result. I think there's a problem somewhere. Who is going to help me to solve this problem? Okay. Hello, are we there?
Yes.
Okay, I want somebody to, because I said that if you use C or you use without C, you're supposed to still get the same answer. Unfortunately, it's not performing, it's complaining. And the beauty of this, so that we will not waste our time, but I feel that we should know it, okay? Not to waste our time. One of the beauty of Python is that it will take you to where the problem is. And at the name error, it will also explain to you why the problem is behaving that way. Okay, so in this case now, he told me that my problem is the perimeter. That name perimeter is not defined. So why is it not defined? So I use capital and I'm working with small. So I've changed it back now. So it has produced the result. Case sensitivity of this language, and that's why we have to be very careful. Python will direct you, and that's why it is so easy for us to adopt and use. Any problem, sometimes it will take you direct to where that problem is. And it's for you to, if you don't have solution to it, you might not, you don't necessarily need to know everything like we said, okay? Always ensure that every time you're writing a code, let your internet be on so that if there's any issue, you can quickly run to it. You don't need to be running to people all the time. It's an open source code. Some of those things you are looking for are there with you online. Just Google that same error. It will tell you what to do about it. Okay. I don't know if error management will still be part of what we do, but I don't think we have the luxury. So again, you can do this. It's also the same same thing. So you can take that one as your own and look at it. And if there's any problem, you need to, okay, I think there's a problem there. Or if there's no, I think there should be a problem. Try to see if you can solve the problem on your own. What makes you perfect is practicing. Let's try to do some of these things on our own. And most times the best way to learn is when you're having problems with it. Okay. So after that, now we want to start doing some elementary or basic mathematics, statistics, use cases. And so we need to understand some of the libraries that are actually embedded in R. Okay, so we have these three terminologies that are common in in Python, sorry. We use it interchangeably, but sometimes there are a little bit difference between the three of them. So the word is the library, package, and modules. Okay, so the collections of modules will give you a package, and the collection of packages will also give us a library. But we have nothing less than 137 libraries that are available for data scientists to use all over. And over 200,000 packages, okay? I mean 200 packages, solutions, functions that have been developed for you and I to just log in and use, right? Just a line code and you solve a very mighty problem with more than 100 million data sets with just a line of code. Why? Because there's a function that a lot of people have actually worked and put them as a library so that you can call those library, use them, and solve our problem. All right. So we'll be looking at a few of them because of our time. We'll be looking at NumPy, Pandas, Matplots, and Seaborn for our descriptive and data visualization. Okay. So let's start with NumPy. It's actually used for working with arrays, matrices, vectors, basically mathematics, mathematical computations. NumPy is very, very beautiful in solving such, doing such arithmetic. Okay, and most times it comes with our Jupyter, except you want to upgrade it, or you are using a very ancient Jupyter. Hello, are we together?
So why didn't you tell me this before? Didn't want to go away.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right. So what happened to when you import library? Okay, NumPy behaves like it's a library. It's also behaving like a package. All right, because sometimes library, you pick a package from a library, okay, you import directly. Also, you can import from a library as a package or as a library, depending on, sometimes you can be, depending on how big your company is, you can be the executor and still be the managing director of your company. Okay, you may be the one doing the selling, and at the same time, you are still the person, the general manager of your company. Okay, but sometimes you can be the general manager, have a lot of people under you, okay, still doing different functions in that same organization. Okay, so some of this library behaves like that. So I won't say because I don't have many people in my organization, I refuse to call myself the managing director of my organization. So as a managing director, I'm still as the head of the organization, I'm still the managing director, whether I have 1,000 or just 2 people in my. So sometimes this library also behave like that. They may have several packages under them, and so basically, like we said, that these 4 are the basic libraries that we are likely to use for this study. Okay, so when you import NumPy, this as means alias, okay, or alias means that I don't want to use this big name. Change this name. Anytime I want to call this NumPy, use NP. So that anytime I want to use it, I use NP. So if you still feel comfortable using that long NumPy, you can still use it. It will still give you the same result. All right. So I know we have some mathematicians in the house. So just pardon me to speak a bit about this. So like we said, that NumPy is used in dimensions in array. So we can use it, support us in defining scalar vectors and matrices. So we said when we have 0 dimensional array, is called scalar. All right, and that means that the only object, you only have one object in that your variable is not even in form of vertical or horizontal vector. So this is, though we call this integer, but it's a scalar if you are looking at it in form of array. And so if you ask it to display that, it will give you the normal issue, the normal definitions that we have learned under integer and defining variables. Okay, so if I then want to convert that integer, I want to now ask it to see this thing as array because of the kind of operation I want to perform. I want you to now see this particular integer. Don't see it as integer, see it as array. Remember that integer is a data type, and array is also a data type. So what I've asked it to do in this one now, I've defined the MPE, and I've turned it to okay. So what's happening to this? Who can also help me out?
The import. Check the import.
Okay. So we have the import. There is I that is missing there. Okay, so it's giving me that. So you know that I'm actually talking about Dr. Oke is the area of Dr. Oke is 42. Okay, so if you check this now and say type, or I said that you can use NumPy. So let's try if NumPy will respond to us. Okay, let's try it. So it's complaining that NumPy, because I've asked it to use this man. Okay, so if I change it, it said NumPy is not defined. Okay, so if I said, don't say it as again, let's see if it will still respond. Okay. All right, he accepted our offer. So means that you don't necessarily, but we use the alias because of long functions or long library. Okay, so I can change it back so that I can have my NP. You can call it your name if you like. It will also recognize it, but conventionally we use NP. Okay, so but I'm just looking at, there are several things we can do, where I know we have a lot of researcher in the house. We should, when we are dealing with this issue, let's have a free mind. What can I do that is different for what people are doing to add value to the work of people? So you can also look at other dimensions as you are studying these problems. Okay, so we can define vector the same way. Okay, now we have it. We have a vector. So when you define it, it will also respond to you. Likewise, the matrix. Okay, so please, all of these things I have it. They also behave the same way. I don't think there will be any error. If there are errors, I think we should flog. Okay, so we can check the data type. Look at the first X. For those of you that, you can see that it returns integer. Okay, but when we did this, because though it is a matrix, but we ask it to, but it is in form of array, two-dimensional array. Okay, so if you check the type, it will still return ND array. ND array. Okay, so this S now, we said S is integer. So we are now trying to convert the same S again. And because we have casted it from an integer to an array, so it's giving us as so if you now ask it to return it, it will say array 5 instead of giving you an ordinary. Okay. So you can also check the shape. You know, shape means dimension. Okay, in Python, what shape means the dimension, the column section and the row section. So if you say anything dot, so you are saying that the variable, give me the dimension of this variable that I've mentioned before I started with the dot. Okay, so if you still go back, it will tell you that you have a row vector. Okay, if you check the second one, it will tell you have 3 by 3, and that's the dimension of it. Okay, but the one of X does not have dimension. That's why we call it zero dimensional array. Zero dimensional array. Okay, so you can create it. If you want to create it, if you want to reshape it, you want to transpose it. Okay, these are things that are possible to do under this. Okay, so I want to move a bit into lecturing. You can create a tensor. Tensor means that you are going beyond 2-dimensional. You are moving to 3. So you want to consider the two. Want to consider not only the column, but also have different matrices. Okay, as against one that you are treating. So we have 3-dimensional or more than 3-dimensional sometimes. They will also, and that's why we have, for those of us that will still go ahead to study some of this work later, then we'll be doing tensor and Keras in the 3-dimensional study. Okay, so if you do this too, so you have 1, 2, 3 as a what? As a matrix. This is also a matrix. So the shape of the first one is a 2-dimensional, which is 3 by 3. Okay, but if you now merge the two of them together, it becomes a tensor. So we have matrix of 2 rather, which carries 3 by 3 dimension. So, and this also follow the normal logic of addition and subtraction of, so if you check this, it will give you 3. So you have 3 by 3 matrix in 2 form. Okay. So, and this is the shape of a tensor. So you can create it, you can do it manually. Okay. And you can also look at the shape. We also okay. I know we also know the logic of the addition, the subtraction of the operation generally in matrix. So this also follow, and because he understand the array is defined. It's also a function in it's an inbuilt function. You don't necessarily need to call any library to do that. It takes it. It's an inbuilt functions are functions that does not require any library to perform their duty. Okay. While there are some functions that if you use them, you need to call the library first, but array is inbuilt. So if you have this, you can add them, okay, which it follows the normal conventional additions or subtractions of, so you can do it. And that's why we say that for any one of us that are actually interested in this profession, our mathematics must be sound. We must be able to do some of these things, manually. Okay, at least do the elementary part of it, understand it, so that when it's possible you write a model that you will get result, but it's not the actual result that you are expecting, and which will lead to misleading people. So it is important that we also know some of these things. That's why we are going into, I didn't want to do all of this mathematics before, because I know that majority of us that are on this platform, I know we have a lot of associate professors in mathematics. But then it is important that we go back to this study and we'll see. So we can only add in array, you can only add two arrays that of the same dimension. You can't add an array that are different. So the reason why this is complained is that this is not defined, okay, but it's defined, but the operation is not allowed. Let me go back and see if I did not run any of the N1. But apart from that, okay, we ran it. Apart from the fact that they have different dimension, okay, so they are not likely to work together. Okay, likewise these two, because M2 is 2 by 2, while this is 2, 3, 3, 3. Okay, this one is 3-dimensional, while the M2 is 2-dimensional. Okay, so it also follows the normal ways of doing it. So if I get another vector, another matrix, which is, so I want to determine the shape, it's telling me that it is two rows and 2 columns. We know that the first one is the row, while the last one is our column. Okay, so we can go ahead and still go through all of these things yourself, do all this arithmetic, check it, transpose it. The transpose means T. Okay, so it's something we can do on our own. I think we all have access to the code. Do we? Hello? Do we have access to the code?
Not yet.
Okay, you can go to the link. Okay, the link is not given to us.
The link for today?
What's it called? Drive, for the Google Drive, to pick those data.
Okay, it has been shared. It has been shared.
Okay.
Just found that.
You sent on.
All right, so maybe we should repost it.
Is it the one on the WhatsApp?
Is it? No, it's on the Google Drive. I don't know if it is on the, so I don't have access.
It has been shared on the WhatsApp platform.
Okay, fine. So you can pick it from there straight away. We have about 5, if possible, if God will permit us to go through those lectures. And that's why I don't want us to waste too much time on this elementary. Do you have any issues with it? I think it's straightforward. Just pick the data itself, run it. So if you have challenges, you can call on anybody you see on the administrator list in that WhatsApp. Chat the person up, and you can look into your matter. Okay, but these are still small issue. Dot means multiplications. Okay, just if you want to multiply it. Okay, so you can multiply all of these. Okay, means multiplication. So reshape means that change the dimension. If it is 3 by, it's asking you to turn it to 2. You can reshape, you can find the shape, you can multiply 2 vectors and 2 matrices of the same dimension. While the other one, the column of the other one is equal to the row of the other one. So you can do all of that, but if it doesn't satisfy that condition, you are not likely to do that multiplication successfully. Okay, so that's why I said those basic principles, we just need to get them. So for further documentations under this NumPad, you can read this, the link, and there are several other books to read on it. Quickly, we want to move to the second one, which is pandas. But I'm going to use, what do we do? Okay, I think I've explained that one. Okay, so for me to go to the second one, I will quickly want us to look at, because we will need them for our visualization. So I mentioned that we're going to look at 4 of them, and these 4 of the libraries that I'm talking about, we're going to use them for our use cases and demonstrate it if time will permit, because I think I still have 1 hour to go. So let's just talk a bit on data visualization. I can't find it here. Okay, I've seen it, but I don't know why it's not in that folder. Okay, so if you don't have this, I will send it to you. Okay, so what is data visualization? I think these are very important questions which we need to ask ourselves as we want to go through this class. What is data visualization? Why does data visualization, or how does it help? Please pardon my English then how to visualize numerical and categorical variables. What is correlation? Like we said, we are going to be a little bit that basically what we'll be teaching is elementary, because we feel that if you understand the elementary, we can do better with bigger things. Okay. Data visualization is a process of translating data and metrics into charts, graphs, and other visuals. The resulting visual representations of data make it easy to identify patterns, and that is why we are to study it. Sometimes patterns cannot be seen directly from the data set. As a data scientist, our core work is to bring out patterns from the data that is scattered or does not mean anything to physical eye. Things that are hidden in the data, and use it as, to gain insight for improvement or change for our organizations. We can use different charts, plots, to visualize different kinds of data. So the data you have also determine the type of chart or plots that you need to use. So each chart or plot helps us to gain insights from different perspectives. Okay, so it means that our descriptive part of statistics must be sound. Okay, so in visualizations, we have one. Sorry, I can't. This thing is blocking my. I don't know how to bring it down. Okay. We have data visualizations in different forms. You can visualize data, 1 variable, 2 variable, or multiple variable. Some of these things were indirectly explained in our R class. But for those of us that were not in that class, or maybe we have also forgotten, so let's just go through a bit. So what I've done is to take 3 from each of these visualization explaining. In the course of your reading, it's likely you see something that I've not mentioned, something that is even better, beautiful, classical than what I'm explaining. Okay, but what is important is for us to know when do I use what and how do I use that what. When do I use line? When do I use bar or pi or histogram or so those are things that are important as data analyst or analytics, so that you know specifically your approach to making people to understand how your data look like. Okay, very importantly, by the time we move into a case, use case to explain this in the next few minutes, maybe we will see the reasons for this, that we all of us can bring out. I mean, we can explain it. We can explain this data ourselves when we've drawn the chart or the plot. So I've listed these three. We say airport, it is numerical. So anytime you want to use line plot, make sure that the set of data given to you are numerical. Okay. But in the case of bar, it must be categorical. So it means that you only have the frequency of your number of occurrence of that variable given to you. Okay, the count, you don't really have, those numbers are not quantitative data. You know, in statistics, we have quantitative and qualitative data. We have data that are categorical in nature, okay, meaning that they are not in numbers. They are just they are form of in group or a particular set of names given to them. So if I said those of us that are from a particular local government, let's say Ikorodu local government. Ikorodu local government is not a count. I mean, it's not number. I can only count the number of people that are from that local government. Violin, okay, also shows the distributions of data, how densely the population is. You can also use it to demonstrate and also behave like what the conventional bus plot that we also are close to, we are aware of. Okay, so we also have two variables, visualization. So what means that you want to compare or relate two different variables using visualizations. So you can use scatter plot, you can use in plot, you can also use joint plots. Joint plot is you have histogram and scatter plot, all of them put showing the distributions, the movement, and the direction or the pattern of that data set. Most times, for you to do that, the two data sets, I mean, the two variables must be numerical, So sometimes we also have multiple. I know that at least, again, we did that in our R2, we explained PS. So when you have different variables and you want to look at how each one of them are related to each other, more than 5, sometimes you call it a multiple correlation. Okay, we also have it in heat map. Heat map is a form of correlation that shows the thickness or the brightness or the most color, shows that it is stronger in that direction. And when it is light, it shows that the correlation is so light too. And you can also see the value, the signs, which we know that the stronger the relationship between the two variables, the higher the value. I mean, the value get closer to 1, it moves closer to 1. So the more the value get to 1, the better the relationship, and they have a very strong, whether it's a positive or a negative relationship, depending on the data set. Okay, so we want to use this understanding that we have now to explain or pick a case. I also have this case study for those of us that have accessed the data. And I think this particular side, it is important for us to understand this explanation and to use it. Number one, I want to assume again, because I'm not talking about descriptive statistics here. I want to assume that we know how to do simple descriptive, the mean, median, the mode. Okay, that is the assumption. If you have any issues with that, please let us know. And I want to assume that that is not a problem. Basically, the mean we're talking here is the arithmetic mean. You know, we have different means, okay, even much more than the 3 means that we know. We have so many means, but arithmetic mean is our emphasis for this study. Median and the mode, they are all average determinant for this, okay? All right, so we want to look at this study. Please, if you have this particular Jupyter with you, I want you to open it. I want us to read it because I was told the first problem solving method is to understand the problem and understand who you are. What role are you to perform in this particular work? Data analysis is to speak and bring out hidden trend patterns that are, you know, embedded in a data set. What is not open to a clear eye, it is expected that we use our skill, our knowledge to bring it out to our organizations and to them to assist in making decisions. Okay. This same example is the example we use in R. Okay, so we have ride sharing is a service that arranges transportation on short notice. It is a very volatile market and its demand fluctuates widely with time, place, weather, local events, etc. Okay, so the key to being successful in this business is to be able to dictate patterns in their fluctuations and cater to the demand at any given time. Okay, so what Uber, a lot of us are aware, we know what Uber is doing. We know that Uber is just a technology company. They are not the owner of the vehicle that we are seeing even in Nigeria. Okay, so but they have the facilities to support the transportations and give them estimated values for each trip. Okay, so we assume that you are one of these data scientists or newly employed because they're having this challenge of wrong pricing. They can't even determine the specific value to be awarded. So based on the demand, what can you tell us or what can you advise us to do in order to grow this business? That is this. So, and they provided the data for us. And that data is also there at our Google Drive. So this question is not likely, no management is going to give you specific questions. They give you general questions. And it is for us as data scientists to highlight those questions that will take us to the end. Just like as a researcher, you set your aim. And from your aim now, you're beginning to bring out the objective that you want to achieve, which is the responsibility of that researcher. So maybe you have seen your supervisor, he told you that this is the problem, Then from this problem, what are those things that you can bring out to support your work in achieving this particular aim? Okay, so the problem generally is to optimize optimization, to make profit, to increase their margin. Okay, that's the end. But they want to also know more. Which area do we need to provide more vehicle? What do we need to do? All these things, sincerely, I mean, we are all of us looking at the same questions. And as data scientists, our thinking should be different from every other person. We should, when a question is given to us, we should see 10 questions from one question. And that will also increase our value in the way we approach problems. Okay, so at the end of the day, we should be able to make recommendations based on the insights, okay, based on what we can derive from this visualization. All right, so we are given the data. From the data now, we discover that we have, as part of the header, we have a pickup time, which is the dates and the time that passengers are picked, and what are the durations of those of each peak. Bureau of New York City. Okay, so I also understand that we have 5 of them. So even without this, you can just Google it and check New York Bureau, which is like a council or local government or divisions. Lagos State, we have about 5 divisions too. Okay, so these are things that we, like I said, most importantly, we need your Google beside you. Not every information will be provided. Internet can assist you in getting better information in solving problems. All right, so what I did is to Google it and say New York Bureau, how many of them do you have? It will tell you. Which one has the largest population, it will also show you. So when you are looking at this analysis, it's possible that you will notice that there is more pickup in one particular city, local government or council than the other. Then you should also know that, okay, I think there are also many. So if you have a population of 20,000 in New York, for example, okay, 20 million. So, and in one of the council, which has about 15. So it's taking, what's the percentage there? Somebody should help me. Okay, it's 15 million already. And if you have a lot of pickup in that one, so that particular council is not doing anything significant because he has the population. All right, so we are going to see and look at what are the things that we can derive, deduce from this. So these are the interpretation. Data description is the interpretations of those header that we have, and how do they affect the pickup and the pickup time. Okay, so again, this example, sorry, it could be that I'm going a bit, but I think that when we see industry problem, we then look at how we can use the basic knowledge that we have learned. So I want to use this particular data set to explain some of these visualizations that we have talked about. Remember, I said that we are going to stick to 4. Okay, the first one is the NumPy. We might not necessarily use it in this analysis because we want to restrict ourselves to visualization. And the second one is Pandas. Pandas is used for data manipulations, for calling data, reading data, storing data, analyzing data. That is the function. All the library, all the functions that will perform those things are embedded also in Pandas. Okay, for those of us that have actually used MATLAB before, this Matplotlib library is brought from MATLAB, but while they were using it here, it's not that performing the function effectively. So they added what is called the Seaborn. So the Seaborn work with Matplotlib library to give us a better visualization. So that's one of, if you go and read Seaborn documentation, it's like a more than 6 months course. Seaborn alone, just like the ggplot. For those of us that have started studying ggplot2, is a very powerful visualization. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's any visualization that can stand ggplot2. Very powerful, you know, as at this moment. I don't know, you can, for those of us that have read, you can still disprove it, but at least for my own knowledge, I think ggplot2 is so powerful, so extremely powerful. So if you read the Seaborn library documentations too, it solves a lot of visualizations problem to assist Matplotlib. Okay, it's just like a development on what Matplotlib library has been doing. Okay. Okay, so before I also move on, I want to say that if you run any program, because this is not the first time I'm running this on my own machine, it's possible that your Jupyter does not contain that particular file or that particular library. You can pip that library and install it. You know, just like the way we do in what's it called? In-house studio. Okay, that you need to load the library. I know, install the library. So you can install the library using okay, so if I run this and if there's a complaint, I will then. But if you have a complaint, and that's why I want you to go open your own, let's do it together so that we can quickly address. People are there with us. I have some people are listening that are also very versatile in this area. They can quickly respond to your mail if you send any chat message on this platform. Okay. So what we are saying is that, okay, Tan, we also have some of these comments. You know what a comment, Dr. Adegoke told us what comment means. It will not see it in the code, but this is developed using a Markdown. You can, if you check that up, it has changed to Markdown. It was code before. So if I come here, it is Markdown. So I'm back to my code. If I run it, let's wait and see. So you try to run your own too. Okay, so I'm trying to import my library, bring them into my Jupyter to come and reside with me on this Jupyter notebook. I want to start work with it. So there's no complaint. It means that my system is working well. For those of us that tool we have not yet installed, okay, you don't have, and probably you are in a place where you don't have a system and you have you want to use Jupyter. Jupyter also have a Google Jupyter. We call Google Colab, okay, which you can, you know, use in conjunction with your Google Drive. So you can just call it and say, that's just, sorry for those who can say Google Drive, Google Colab, okay, enter. It will take you to this place. You click, if you like, you want to welcome, but you must have a Gmail account for you to access this. Because I've done so many work here, so it brought out my recent work. But if you want to start, if you check the down where my cursor is, you have new notebook, okay? New notebook, you can click it and it will open a fresh Jupyter for you. So what I can do on my offline Jupyter, you can do it on your online Google Colab. The same result, the same answer, but the only thing is that you must have data to do this one, for you to work on it. And this, you don't save your data on your system, you save your data on your drive, your Google Drive. And on your Google Drive, there's a special command that you need to use to bring it back into that. So you can also read those things. They are not difficult. They are still very simple. So I'm just, in case if you just remember, sometimes as a data scientist, you may be working and be doing something else, an idea will just crop up. You can still implement it while you are not with your drive, your own system. You can go on the internet and still run these processes, and you will still get the same result. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is to load my data. Okay, I've read it. So it means that there's no problem with my reading. Okay, so if you see what I've done now, the third line, I'm trying to use copying. The question is that why am I copying? The reason is that there is that likelihood I make some mistakes that I cannot trace. I can't go back again to solve that problem. If I've changed the setting of the data, that means that I will not be able to go back to that old data, to the original data. So the first thing I do is to copy from the data. I can displace this data directly, but I don't want to start my own manipulation from there. I want to copy that result and retain the old one. Then I can work with DF as the new copied file. If you check the same result, you will get it, okay? If you still get the same answer. For example, if you say data, and let's run it. Okay, it will display it. Okay, so you give me the first 4, and you give me the last 5. Okay, so meaning that give me the head and the tail. So if I go again, please look at it. But I said copy because I still want to retain my own. So it will still give me the same result, the way it is, because I want to avoid any error, any mistake on the original data. Okay, but if you feel that you are comfortable, you can move on with your work. Okay, so right from this minute, this is just the display of the data. Okay, but we can begin to see 1 or 2 cells from here. So meaning I have over 29,000 data sets with 13 columns. So that is what we want to work with now. 29,101 rows pick up, and as against 13 variables. So what it means is that the dimension of this data is 29,101, 13. So that's the dimension of this data. All right, so instead of me going through displaying everything, I can ask it to display the head. I can also ask it to display the tail. Tail is the last 5. Hello, are we together?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I remember that Dr. You told us if I want to add a cell, so I want to ask the machine to give me the last tail. Okay, is tail, I think it's tail. Yeah, it's correct. So tail will give you the last 5. Remember the indexing of T. Dr. Adegoke told us again that Python takes indexing from start from 0, while R start from 1. And so when you give a command of edge, automatically you are asking it to display the first 5 data sets of your file. Give it to me. And if you want to do its numbering, its indexing, it starts from 0. So it sees the first one as 0 index, the second one as the first, the third one like that. So if you are asked also the tail, you also move from where it is. If you know, I said the dimension is 229,101, but if you see what you have there is 29,100, not 101. So it means that you also do -1 with all of the. Okay. So gradually we are moving into the importance of our work. And basically the shape, okay, the shape will give you the dimension, and we need to understand, we need to see the data type. Why do we need to check the data type? What is the need for this? Okay. It's just like some of us that have been working with SPSS. If you don't change where you're supposed to put nominal and you are putting numerical there, you are not likely to get the same, though you will do your analysis, and you even present the results to some people, they will be excited, but you are giving the person the wrong result. Why? Because you have not used the right data type, and it will not recognize it, and it will solve that problem the way it ought to solve it. Okay. Object is meant for all the items, every variable is called object, because Python is object oriented. All right. So calling pickup DT as object is nothing. It means that it does not understand the actual data type of. That's what it means. Hello, are you following me? So giving it object shows that it does not understand what the values that you have as pickup DT. And the bureau at the same time is saying, no, I think that a mixture of data type there. So let's just give it object, because everything there is object. But when there's uniformity, okay, in the pickups, he said integer 64-bit.
Sorry,
okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
We have to do asking the question about how do we load the data? It's giving error. Can you please go back to the data set?
Okay. How do we load the data set? Remember, we were told in our class. Okay. See. Okay. Maybe I didn't say that. All right. Thank you for that question. It's also very important. Okay. So by default, okay, because each of them has, just like when we're working with R, by default, it stays, R also stays in document. But by default, Jupyter recognize the folder where that Jupyter resides as its default. So if you want to read any data, that data must be residing where your Jupyter is also residing. So if I've created, see now when I open my own, if you check, this is where I've saved all my file, all the files I'm going to use for this lecture is here on my machine. Okay, so all the data too is there. We're probably going to use this if time will permit us tomorrow. Uber is what we are using. So the data reside together with the code. Where's the code now? Where's it? Okay. Okay, this is the code. This is the Jupyter I am using, and they are the same, they are in data mine class. So that data must be close to your, must be in that folder where your Jupyter resides. Okay, so if you don't have it there, just copy it and put it in that same folder and see what your result will give. Are we good?
Thank you. Tolulope, are you okay now? Okay, let's consider.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, so the data, we are now in, okay, so I'm asking myself question, why do I have to check the data type? And I said it is important because if we have a wrong interpretations of the data type, or we don't have the same data type, therefore there's no way your code will work well. It will be giving you error where you have written perfect and best optimal code, you will still be getting error. Why? Because it's telling you objects. So you must take care of the objects and let them bear their actual data type. So that is another course on its own. So we want to know how do I write date? How do I write string? How do I write integer, float? When it is float, we don't have a problem because everything is float. Okay, so we have three objects there. We have the peak daytime, we have the holiday, and we also have the bureau, which is the council. Okay, so these ones are solvable, okay? At least number 1 is solvable, and number 2, the number 0, which is the index 0, is what we require us to solve. But like I said, it's not a very difficult thing. Just go again to your Google and say data type for daytime in, date time in Python. It will give you the breakdown. Okay, so let's try it. Let's assume that we don't have it here. Okay. Okay, but though we are not yet here, but you can just type it, data type. So like what I'm trying to say is that nobody is a magician. Okay, data type in data. Day, time, date, okay. For date, time in Python. Okay, so it will correct me. Okay, so it has given me the actual way. So you can use any of these things. It will give you, so you can check any of these. It will give you how to check if data time is, so you just need to use this thing very well to learn what you have not been taught and to know what you have not been taught, okay? So because it is not possible for us to go through everything in the class, but we'll try as much as possible to support ourselves. We also need support, okay? We need to gain more knowledge in this area. I thought I'll be able to stop before 8:45, but nevertheless, we'll continue. Whenever we stop, we stop there. Okay, so we want to now, before we go into the visualization, we want to do a little bit of descriptive. Because one of the things that will make us to understand the pattern, we should be able to see how the behavior, the explanation, because we know that descriptive means describe the data, explain the data, the way it is. What can you see? Don't do anything, don't add to it. don't contribute. We don't need your contribution. Say, just tell us how this data is behaving. Simple. That's what we are interested to know. Okay, so, and that is what the description. Why am I here again? That's the description. Okay, so how do I summarize? In R, it is, we use summary. Okay, but in Python, we use describe. So describe will give you the summary of the, because from the word description, descriptive statistics. It will tell you how many counts you have in pickup, what is the average of the pickup, and what's the standard deviation is in pickup. So we have high standard deviation in pickup, and the 75 percentile of the pickup is 449. Okay, where the 25% is 1. You can see the margin. Okay, so you see the speed, you can speak to those ones. For those of us that we have the, so it is important that we understand how to speak to this. So the average temperature here is 47, and the minimum temperature we have is 2, while this thing is, okay, while the maximum temperature is 89. So you can also know the pickup for that maximum time if you want to, okay, and also know the pickup at the minimum time, at the minimum temperature, because we are looking at those temperature, speed, those things that are listed there. Does it actually affect the pickup of time or the pickup of the passengers? Okay, because that is our main assignment. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to check the bureau that we are talking about. What are they? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and not a number. Okay. Okay, so we have a not a number there. That means that maybe it's an empty, it's a missing value. So any missing value will be seen as NaN, not a number. So if it is not a number, what is it? Unfortunately, because we don't have the details, it's a missing value. So we can't really say, it could be any of these 5 that is supposed to be there, but maybe the person completing that form did not put it there. Okay, so what do we do with it? If it is a small value, we can remove it. But if it is large, that means that it is actually, so I want to behave like I don't know, because I've read this book before. I know that what's it called? New York City actually have 5 borough, okay? But now we have N, which is part of it now. Means that, what do we do now? Can we remove it if it is small? Can we, because this is a categorical data. Okay, so if it's a categorical data, you can't use the mean, the median mode to find the replacement for such value. Okay, so what we just need to do is to check if it is not large. So if it is large, that means that it is a council on its own. So we have to treat it like a council on its own. So, and that is the first assignment, or the second assignment we'll do. So we need to look for the second one. Holiday. Okay, so this English is just to, the normalize is to find the proportion, just like you are finding the probability of it. So if I remove this, it should give me the exact value. Okay. All right, so this is the count for holiday. And holiday means that it's like a form given to you. If it is your answer is response, you are on holiday when you are taking a ride. That means you have yes. And if the answer is no, so that means that most people that have taken the ride are not actually on holiday. Okay, so it means that a lot of people that are using it, they are not using it because they're on holiday. If they could be using it hypothetically, okay, and that's why the inferential part of this analysis may be required. But basically, based on this information we have, they are not using it for holiday. Okay, peradventure they're actually using it to pick up, to go to work, go to pick up their children, go to the market, but those cannot actually be seen here. But we know that it is not because of they are not tourists, they are not because they are in holiday, that's why they are taking this particular vehicle. Okay, so like we said, the first one is to take care of this particular data, take it to the format that is expected. Okay, so the format of date, time, month, year in Python is day, month, year, hour, and minute. Okay, and that's the format. So you now need to reconstruct it, though it may be in that format, but you're seeing it as a convolution, if I will use Combs English again, of different data type. Seeing one as string is seeing another one as numbers. So the instruction is that convert everything to time, date, year, so that we can then use them to do because time is important in this particular analysis. So because the reason why we want to do the right conversion to this is that time is more of importance in this analysis. We want to look at the time of pickup. At what time do we have a high pickup? At what time do you have a low pickup? Do we release more buses at a particular time or withdraw some buses at a particular time, so that people will not just be walking around, burning their fuel when they're supposed, knowing fully well that let these little people that are let them begin to do the work. Let those of us that are just withdraw, so that we minimize the resources we have. Okay. So what this operation will do is it will just do the conversion. And the conversion is to replace it where it was before. Don't create another column, replace it directly in it. Okay, and that will do. So if you check again, to check the same, we will see that the time will have been taken care of. So you can see that our time now has now changed to data time, date time 64. Okay, so maybe this will not really allow me will not finish it, but I want to stop. I'm not stopping now, but in the next 3-4 minutes, I want to stop to allow people to talk or ask questions before I move on. If they want me to still continue, we'll move on. Okay. So now you can check the minimum pickup time and the maximum pickup time. Though we have seen it in that. So the minimum pickup time is 2015-0101, and that is 1 minute. And we can also check the maximum, 1 hour. Okay, so we can also check the maximum, which was this. No, okay, that was on June. If this one is January, this one will be June. Okay, so based on this too, you can speak 1 or 2 English about it. We are not only to solve problems, but we must be able to convert this mathematics to English. English, our interpretations of this coding is also important. So as we are learning data science, we need to also learn interpretation of. So I also discovered that what we have here is only giving me the time. So I want to actually have my year to separate my year from this. Let it be in a separate column. Let my month be in a separate column. Let my hour be in a separate column. Let the day be separate, so that I can know that is it a particular year we have high traffic, or a particular month, a particular hour, day of the week. Is it Saturday that we have high traffic? All of these things, if I perform this function, it will now be clearer to us to see that, oh, I think on Saturday, something really happened. Then we now need to investigate why people rushing, looking for vehicle on Saturday. At a particular, why do people look for 2 o'clock? They request for Uber vehicle around between 2 and 3, hypothetically. Then why are they doing that? Meaning that, okay, 2 o'clock, between 1 and 2, that means we need to release so many buses to the streets of Lagos so that they can still, sometimes when you are waited for, I remember when I wanted to go out on Salad Day, we waited like, and we could not see, because a lot of people actually are moving out and there was no provision. So if they understand the science, okay, they can negotiate and talk to a lot of people, increase the price, because people will still go for it. All right, so these are some of the things that is necessary for us to understand in the course of this work, so that we can actually give meaning to data. Give meaning to data. All right. So we can continue. Dr. Okay, can I still continue? Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Continue.
All right, sir. So we can. So now, because I want to have a breakdown of the months, the years. Therefore, I will need to remove. I want to go back to my real, okay. So I will need to remove this man and replace it with the year to be in a separate column, the month to be on a separate column, the day to be on a separate column, the time to also be on a separate column. Okay, so this is the command. Then for me to do that one, I can leave this with it, but there's no point keeping this, pick up this again when I have now separated them in different columns, so that to identify, is it year is influenced by the year, or influenced by a particular month, or influenced by day, hour, or weekend or weekday. So these are ideas, there are questions, like somebody said that an average data scientist must ask a lot of questions. Okay, you must ask questions, and it is only questions that can bring solution. Okay, and there's no problem. The moment you have created a problem for yourself, there is a solution to that particular problem. Okay, so I want to extract the dates now, bring them down correctly, and keep them and give it this name. So what this thing means is that create a column of this year, create this one too, put it in the same, in this file, DF, CSV or DF that we have created, okay? Create another one for it. So it will create it the way we have it like this, and we have it has actually created it. So it just wanted me to ask for that command. But before I ask for the command, I want it to also remove the father that has been disturbing us. Okay. So if he has removed that one, then we can now look at it and see if it has actually performed what we asked it to do. If not, then that means that there is a problem, something that we need to do again. Okay. All right. So it has actually done it for us. So we have the start year to be 2015, and the start month is January, and the hour is also, you know, don't mind if you ask it to display. Let's do the tail so that it will take us to the last one. Okay. All right, so you can see that he actually did it alphabetically from January to June. This is June. So basically it actually covered 6 months if you look at it. But we have not seen that, but from what we are seeing now, it shows that the data start from January to June. All right. And also indicating the hour there. So we can see the changes have been applied to the data set properly. So let's analyze again the summary of this, which is also the descriptive, because it's saying we have not done any manipulation, serious one. You can see we still have the NNN, because this bureau is saying that he has a lot of NNN. So let's just now find out how many of these variables, okay, has the NNN, and which one has the, how many of them generally, so that then we will now know what is the quantity of the not a number that is there, and what can we do to them. So it is very glaring that we have some missing numbers in this data set. Okay, so, and then how do we deal with the number of, this lecture might not be sufficient to teach us how to treat or deal with it, okay? But it is just a part of it. As we go on in this study, we will look at different ways of doing this, of treating, handling missing values when we notice them in our data set. So the first thing we need to do is to check df.isNull. It's like a question, okay? That's what it's asking. So the sum is saying that count all those, the null values that you have in each of these columns. Sum them together, tell us the values of all of them. Okay, so we can see that in only this one alone, the row, we have 3,043. That's huge. Okay, that's a lot, you know. It shows out of 29, if you divide 29,000 into 5, so approximately into 5 rather, approximately all of them will still go within that 3,000 thereabout. So it's like it's standing as a cancel on its own. It's equivalent in dimension. So we can't really jettison, we can't discard it. Neither can we do any manipulations to find the mean or the median to replace some of this. So we need to treat it like a city on its own. So we are treating not a number, we are taking it as a cancel now. Or we remove it. It could be too dangerous for us, which is likely to affect our value. So in this case now, this code only show to us that we only have 2 variables that are giving us missing numbers, and one is 359. Okay, we can take that one because it's numerical. Temperature is number, Okay, so fine, that's beautiful. But for us to really handle it successfully, we need to check whether it is full of outliers or not. So if it has a lot of outliers, that means that we also need to sit down and look at which of this average that is most suitable to use to solve this problem. Because whichever one you use could also still affect, alter, reduce the efficiency or the accuracy level of your model if we eventually use wrong values to do your manipulations. Okay, so it is also important. That's why we need to go through all those visualizations to see the distribution of the data. To study the distribution of data is very important, it's critical, and to understand how your data look like first before you start any other manipulation. So all we have been doing is to understand the data. So we have not even gone into the visualization. We're only trying to see this data so that we will not be doing a wrong analysis or wrong descriptives on what is not supposed to be. So, and that's why we are checking all those things on it. Some data scientists define the process of data analysis as the first called descriptive, diagnostic, and what other prescriptive, and projection and prescription. All right, so what we are doing at the same time, we are doing descriptive / diagnosis. So we are trying to diagnose the data set, okay, and see whether it is appropriate for analysis, check those things that are necessary, prepare the data for which we call the pre-processing of data. And that's what we are doing. Like I said, we are not limited. We're only looking at this particular case and how to solve this one in order to use it to do the script. And we have not even got into visualization. So here, I need to also look at it, but again, it's giving me proportion. So if I said, I'm not interested in your proportionality, let me see the value, the actual value that all of these things contain. Okay, so I can try this. Let me see. Okay, I've not tried it before, but let's see if it's supposed to work. Okay, so let me remove this, because what normalize does is to find the proportion. Okay, if you read the documentations of value count, I think it's asking us to do proportion, or what is called the probability. Okay, wonderful, that's beautiful. All right, so what I just said, that if you see none this value, don't drop it. Oh, I need it. So now that I see that even not a number is giving me 3,000, while others is 4,300. So we want to take it as also a cancel under Bureau. I think it will be appropriate for us to assume that this man here is also a cancel under New York City. Though it is not a number, but basically because of the number we are having, we'll be forced to take him as a number. So, so we want to assume that state is unknown, or that council is unknown. So instead of calling it not a number, we want to change the name to unknown. You know, when you are asking people to fill the certificate, or some people don't know where the state where they are from. Okay, so if you put all the states, you can also put, peradventure you don't know where you are from, you put unknown there. So that to accommodate those that do not know where they are from, and they are just they find themselves in somewhere and they are working. So the next command is to replace it with unknown, and continue doing so anywhere this thing is, it will just see it as unknown. So he has cheated it So we only have the temperature. We only have the temperature there. All right. So the temperature is the only one that is giving us a little bit concern, but it's not a concern. Okay. So it's not really a major concern, but we will probably leave it. Why do we want to leave it? Because we are still looking at what to do to use the mean to address that particular issue. Okay, so that code is just to ask, let us see, let's see the null values that we are even talking about of the temperature, those which one that are giving us non-values, okay, that are missing. Where are they? Where's the concentration of it? So we also, based on this, we have an understanding that Brooklyn, it seems as if a lot of people in Brooklyn do not disclose the temperature at which they are working, or maybe there's something wrong with that temperature. I mean, if you look at it from the beginning, and we're also looking at the end of it also, meaning that they are not showing us the values that we have there. And if you look at it, that's exactly the number of data set that is actually in the month of January. So in the month of January in Brooklyn, the what's it called? The temperature is not revealed. I don't know if you are following me. Please, all these things are for our interpretation. So, and that's why we need to look at it, open our eyes closely, and see how those data are relating to each other. So I can link January with Brooklyn, and again with not a number in temperature in that particular council. So I think it's making sense gradually to me, meaning that we need to double check the temperature in Brooklyn, and probably again also check the month. Okay, so these are already been revealed to us from this 29. The cell 29 has actually given us that value already. So, but we can also look at the month too. We also discovered that January again, the same number that we have in Brooklyn is also what we have in January. And that is the exact number that we have as a missing value. So the total number, all the numbers that we have that is missing, is found in January, at the same time found in the Brooklyn. I don't know if I'm making sense. So at least based on this data we have, because all the data we have on that temperature is 359, and Brooklyn is showing that you have 359, and even January, they are all missing values. That's what we could find there. All right, so let's just pretend as if that's not the only thing. Let's check the day and see if we also have the same thing. So, yes, sir.
So are you trying to finish everything on Uber today?
No, sir. This is what is remaining, and there is a law. That's why I wanted to break. Okay. I don't think we have covered half of it.
Okay.
We can take.
Okay, you can round up there, so that.
Okay, so let me round, because what we want to do, I want us to. We have the code, so I want to believe that the work of tomorrow will be a bit. We will not spend too much time talking. You can try it and note your issue, note the problems you have, or areas that you don't understand, if it's the one you can Google to find out the solution, please do. And if you are not getting it, then we can also look at it together in the class. Like I said, we have some powerful, competent people with us on this platform who are actually not talking, but they are listening, they are supporting the work. So please feel free, let's do it together. I believe that the world is waiting for all of us. Thank you so much. Let me pause at this junction. I will start exactly where I stopped tomorrow to continue this class. Thank you. I'm grateful for this privilege.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. God bless you. Do we have any question? If you have a question, can you raise up your hand so that our facilitator today will be able to also share more light on that, and if you need any other further assistance. So let's type on our chat. Thank you. Let's just appreciate our facilitator for today, Mr. Gusaya Adeyinka. Please, let's appreciate him. I know it's not convenient, it's not easy, but you just have to make it today so that all of us can also benefit from his wealth of knowledge. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And do we have any question in the house? Just raise up your hand so that I can call you. So once again, Mr. Gusaya, thank you so much. God bless you. And if we don't have any question, but I will encourage us, before you join class tomorrow, whether you are using phone or you are using whatever you're using, please try as much as possible. You run this on a machine. Just run the code or run all these step by step on the machine, so that by the time we are doing the one of tomorrow to round up everything, please, you have a concrete question and contribution. Because tomorrow we are going to call as many of us to also share their experience, what you've learned so far, what you can teach others. We will ask you, please, let's try and prepare and make sure you come. So thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. We are grateful, sir. Please, let us also quickly remind them, because we in the beginning we said we are going to make provision for certificates, and so those of us that we will